Good afternoon. Moments ago, Judge Jeannie Cho of the District Court here in Maryland set bond in two matters relative to Scott Tomaszewski. Mr. Tomaszewski is 31 years old. He resides on Ridge Drive on the same street where both of these alleged matters took place. In the instance of the burglary charge against Mr. Tomaszewski, the bond is set at $1 million. That house is directly across the street from his home. In the instance of the Velardo homicide, in which there were 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of armed robbery, and 1 count of burglary, Judge Cho set the bond at no bond, which was the state's request. There is a preliminary hearing scheduled for this matter on June the 26th of this month. What that basically is a triggering date that would require the state to file a charging document in the circuit court, which we plan to do at this point in time. That would be a planning matter. We would anticipate this matter being transferred in due course prior to June the 26th by way of indictment to the circuit court for Montgomery County. Having said that, I would entertain questions on this matter.
New information. Sorry, didn't mean to jump in. Okay. You mentioned some new information, not in the charging documents, and that was sort of goes to the brutality of this and sort of the visions. Would you characterize what you characterize?
Well, let me say the things that I said in open court were only because I was led to believe that there was going to be an allocution to have the defendant released on bond. And I was addressing issues about the nature of the crime, public safety, possible risk of flight, and because of that, I gave some additional detail in open court, and did in fact, in very broad terms, characterize the nature of the injuries against the victims, which were quite brutal and quite severe. I don't want to repeat that at this point in time, but it was done for that purpose. I just wanted to make sure that the court understood the strength of our case and the brutality of the killing.
What does that tell us about the suspect then?
Well, I cannot speak to the character of the defendant. I can only address the issues that that's a question I cannot answer.
Okay, Darcy Spencer, Channel 4.
Talk a little bit about the Facebook posts that he posted and maybe the motivation behind these posts.
Well, again, there was a Facebook post that was read in open court. It was a Facebook post made by Mr. Tomaszewski, apparently upon learning about what had happened to the Velardos. In light of where we are today, I read that, as I said, in open court for the judge to understand sort of the character of what we were dealing with. It was someone who was showing great sympathy for the Velardo family and was expressing surprise at what had happened.
Do you think that was to throw off and throw the heat away from him?
Well, again, I can't answer what his motivations are. Only he can.
Channel 5.
Do you intend to use anything from the defendant's juvenile record relating to maybe something that happened on that street in this case?
First of all, I'm not aware of. I don't know what the answer to that question is. No. The answer is no. No.
John, when the discussion of bond or no bond was being made in court, you talked about the neighborhood's fear for this man. Can you re-articulate what you said? Should Mr. Tomaszewski ever be released awaiting trial?
Look, we were out there. I see Detective Haley, who's with us here today, who helped oversee this investigation. There were many neighbors everyone who was out there during the course of this week had contact with a lot of neighbors and friends, and there was great concern for public safety because both of these incidents occurred in a close proximity to one another. And look, I think it's almost self-evident that there would be some fear in light of the nature of what had happened on that street, and we merely were reflecting what people told us during the course of the investigation.
You know, the other side could say this guy has no criminal record other than, I think, a possession of paraphernalia. Yeah. You know, this is just a one-time thing. Let him have his bond. What would you say in response?
Well, I think Mr. Goodell, a very respected defense attorney here in Rockville, made that point on behalf of his client. We didn't contest that. Unfortunately, periodically, we see individuals who get involved in the criminal justice system, and the stepping off point sometimes is a very serious crime like we have here. But again, that point was made to the judge by his defense attorney, and properly so.
Back to 9.
There's some anxiety in the neighborhood about potential for accomplices, et cetera. What you've seen about the case, is that anxiety well-founded?
I think that anxiety is not well-founded. Again, the police will continue to investigate this case. We're going to do the forensics like we always do. But as of this point in time, I think people should not be anxious in that community.
Can you just address the theory of the case and that, from what it came out in the charging documents, he did make forced entry, which initially we were told he did not, with cutting open the screen, going into, apparently directly into the bedroom? This was their bedroom? Can you say the motivation here was for the burglary, or he went in to kill?
You know what? Again, I think it's improper for me to comment on his motivation and the specifics of the evidence. That I can't answer those questions at this time.
Mr. Bellardo's body was found some distance from the house. Was there any discussion of how, did he chase him out there before killing him?
Again, it's improper for me to talk about the specifics of the evidence. Obviously, all of these matters will come out in great detail at the time of the trial. Judge Algio is a former circuit court judge here in Montgomery County. He's my co-counsel. All of this will be laid out very, very clearly at an appropriate time.